Am I the jerk for telling my sibling to step up and be a better parent? My sister is going through a divorce, so it's hard, and I understand that she has a lot on her plate. But I, a 25-year-old female, am really worried about my nephew who is 8 years old, and my niece who is 7 years old. I think my sister's behavior is adding to that worry for me. My sister's soon-to-be ex-husband was the children's stepfather, not their biological father. They married while the children were both under 2 years old. He was around very early, and so were his 2 children, who are both teenagers. My nephew and niece adored their step-siblings, thought the world of them, looked up to them, and wanted to be super close. Their step-siblings were always indifferent at best. I feel like my ex-brother-in-law's children were resentful of the marriage, and I also picked up on some resentments towards their dad. I feel like this was largely ignored. It always surprised me just how much my nephew and niece adored 2 children who went out of their way to make it clear they were not siblings. But I also did not live there and could never be sure if there were some good moments between them. The divorce has been so hard on my nephew and niece. They miss their stepfather, but mostly their step-siblings, despite the one-sided relationship. My ex-brother-in-law has apparently tried to convince his children to maintain some contact with my nephew and niece, but they are just too glad the marriage ended, and they do not have to be a stupid fake family anymore. My sister has been very negative about her stepchildren to my nephew and niece since the divorce proceedings started. Her ex-husband said his children would not be kind if they tried to see each other anyway. My sister said they were shitty fucking brats to care so little. She has tried to encourage her children to hate their former step-siblings. She will say they never wanted them, how awful it is to be a family for years and not give a shit, and how selfish the children are. The children are heartbroken, and she makes it worse. They have cried on my shoulder and expressed their sadness. They are also very confused about everything. My sister also vents on my shoulder since she does not cry. She has said she cannot believe they were a family for so long, and her ex-husband's children care so little that even one kind phone call is too much to expect from them for her children. She is also bitter that her marriage ended. I have soothed her as much as possible. But I also brought up the topic of the children, how hard this is on them, and how they might need extra support of some kind. She told me it would be fine. I suggested it might help if she does not discuss her hard feelings towards her ex-husband's children. She dismissed it. I then witnessed her saying more of the same, and her daughter left the room in tears. This is when I told my sister to step up and be a better mom and help her children instead of adding to their heartache. I told her she cannot keep doing what she is. She told me I will never get it, and I am not supporting anyone with that attitude. Am I the asshole? You acted correctly. It's clear that your sister's approach is causing more harm than good for her kids. She needs to help them cope with their grief and confusion instead of ignoring their emotional needs. Divorce is a hard enough adjustment without adding the pain of losing step-siblings they cared about. Your sister really needs to get her own emotions in check and find better ways to support her kids through this tough time. Am I the jerk for wanting out of my friend's wedding? As the Mo, I, a female, was asked to be the maid of honor at my friend's wedding. She is not a close friend to me, but I know for a fact that she considers me to be one of her closest friends. This is a woman who always gets into bad situations and blames the world, life, or other people for them. This friend was also raised by a narcissistic mother, and it shows. We started planning the wedding well in advance, and things were going well, everything according to the timeline. But throughout the process, she kept complaining to me about her mother, how she kept giving advice where it wasn't asked for, tried to push her own way for the reception, and so on. I kept mentioning that the wedding is about the people getting married and their wants and needs, not about her mother. Then her mom got diagnosed with cancer. It was a shock to everyone. She started chemotherapy, and life got pretty hard for her health-wise. It seemed like we weren't even sure if she'd make it to the wedding. As the day came closer, the bride started hinting to me that the mom wanted to talk to me about the wedding and gave her my number. The mom messaged me that she has experience hosting weddings, and if I needed any help or anything done, I could ask her. Knowing the tendencies she was showing with the bride, I politely said everything was going well, thanked her, and told her I would know who to turn to if I did need help with something, only to find out a few days later that she was harassing my friend about my response. Things went quiet for a bit, but a few weeks later I received another message from my friend telling me her mom was harassing her again, asking why I'm not sharing any information with the bride's family about what I'm planning for the reception. Mind you, I've done many weddings before and never encountered this. We are not American, so it is not common for us to be in contact with the families of the bride and groom. She wasn't just saying that, but also that she wants to meet with me as soon as possible and that she'd be texting me very soon, phrasing it almost as a threat. Something like, "Oh, just you wait if she tells me no again." This kind of behavior is definitely not something I'm okay with, and I voiced that to the bride. She responded, "You knew what you were signing up for. You know what my mom is like." She also said that she understands her mother because she's sick and alone, that she already has too much on her plate, and to please just deal with it on her own. I'm feeling a strong urge to just hop off this wedding train and also the friendship. This situation has made me really contemplate the entire relationship I have with this girl, and I've come to the conclusion that all I am in this friendship is a garbage can for her emotional waste. It's about a month until the wedding. Am I the asshole for wanting to drop it? What would you do if you were me? Everyone sucks here. The bride's mom's behavior is unacceptable, and it's clear that you're in a one-sided friendship with someone you don't hold in high regard, so becoming her mo was a puzzling choice to begin with. Since we're only a month away from the wedding, backing out now would cause a lot of unnecessary stress and drama. Continue helping with the planning and stand firm against the mom's interference, but make it clear that you won't tolerate her harassment. After the wedding, distance yourself from this person as you should have done from the start. Am I the jerk for refusing to let my partner's sibling move in with us? I, a 28-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend Jake, a 30-year-old male, for 4 years. We recently moved into a new apartment together and have been enjoying our space and the freedom that comes with it. It is a cozy place, perfect for the two of us. Jake's sister Emma, a 25-year-old female, has always had a messy life. She has struggled with keeping jobs, had many short-term relationships, and makes poor financial decisions. Despite this, she is a sweet person, and I have always gotten along with her. A month ago, Emma lost her job and then her apartment. She asked Jake if she could move in with us for a while to get back on her feet. Jake brought this up to me, assuming it would be a straightforward yes. However, I had my reservations. Firstly, our apartment is small, and having another person, especially one who is known to be messy and irresponsible, would change our living situation significantly. We have a nice routine and balance that I feared would be disrupted. Secondly, I work from home, and the thought of having someone else in our space during the day while I am trying to concentrate was not appealing. Lastly, Emma has a history of overstaying her welcome. She has done it with friends and other family members before, promising it would only be a few weeks, which turned into months. I expressed my concerns to Jake, suggesting that we help Emma find another solution, like assisting her with a security deposit for a small apartment, or even suggesting she stay with their parents for a while. Jake did not take it well. He argued that family helps each other out and that Emma would not have asked if she did not really need it. He assured me it would only be for a month or two, but I was not convinced given her track record. The argument worsened when Emma called me directly, crying and saying she had nowhere else to go. I felt terrible but stood my ground, reiterating that our place was too small and that it would be disruptive for both Jake and me. She hung up, and now she is not speaking to me. Jake is furious and has been giving me the cold shoulder, saying I am being selfish and unsupportive. He moved into the spare room we use as an office and has been staying there most nights. He even accused me of not caring about his family and only thinking about myself. I have tried to explain that it is not about not caring, but about setting boundaries to maintain our relationship and my own sanity while working from home. I suggested again that we find another way to help her, but Jake is not hearing it. He is convinced I am the villain in this situation. So, am I the asshole for refusing to let my boyfriend's sister move in with us? You are not the one at fault. His sister would have taken up your space and made it difficult for you to work. Plus, your BF would probably have expected you to pay half the rent, utilities, and groceries as well, even though he and his sister would have been using most of it. Do you really want to be with someone who reacts so poorly when you set reasonable boundaries? Stand your ground. You deserve a partner who communicates properly and accepts disappointment with grace. Would I be the asshole if I declined a baby shower for me and my spouse? I am pregnant with my husband's and my first child. This would also be the first grandchild for his parents. My mother passed away when I was a teenager, and my father was not around, so no grandparents would be involved on my side. I have a sister and an aunt, both of whom I'm really close to. When we started sharing the news with our respective families, my side was over the moon and thrilled. My sister immediately jumped into being as supportive as possible. She even said she would love to host a baby shower for us. She lives further away, but the trip is one we are used to as my husband and I visit every few months. My husband's side, however, were less enthusiastic. His family does not show a lot of emotions to begin with, but we were expecting this news to receive more than a lukewarm reaction. We don't have a bad relationship with them, so we were hurt by this. Now, to why we might be in the wrong. His mother recently approached us about a baby shower that a couple of her friends would like to throw for us. She noted that it was their idea, and they would do the footwork, and that she may not be involved much. I have never met these ladies, but they are family friends, so my husband knew them growing up. My main sticking point is that my husband's mother, and family in general, have not shown much interest in our pregnancy or wanting to celebrate with us. However, they are more thrilled about sharing the news with others. They shared the news with others after we asked them to wait until we were ready. We told them early in the pregnancy and wanted to wait until we were further along to make sure the baby was healthy. I want my husband's family to celebrate with us, but I don't want to be paraded around in front of people I don't know. This is such an intimate time for our growing family. I think we would feel differently if his mother was the one to host it and be more involved. Would we be in the wrong if we nicely declined this baby shower thrown by my husband's mother's friends and only did the one hosted by my sister? ETA, I didn't know there was a rule about who could throw baby showers. I am in the United States, and the rule that it's usually a friend or friend of the family was news to me. I've seen many baby showers thrown by sisters, mothers, and other close relatives. Even though the initial reaction from his family was less than what we expected, we have tried numerous times to involve them in other ways. Baby conversations tend to end quickly. A few people mentioned maybe there was a pregnancy loss that isn't talked about, and baby conversations could be hard for them to have. My husband and I probably won't know the root cause. I guess just because their lack of excitement to our face is evident, doesn't mean they aren't excited, period. We're learning this. I've also been called out for being petty and bitter. And yes, I agree with that also. It mainly stems from the fact that I don't have my mother here with me through this, or that my sister and aunt aren't close by. His family is a very surface-level family, but they're getting the opportunity to experience this firsthand when my family can't. I'm working through this and trying not to hold it against them. My husband has been extremely supportive and even suggested more regular trips to visit my sister until I can't. Thank you all for the different perspectives. There were definitely many things that were brought up that hadn't occurred to me. Your in-laws might not show much emotion, but that doesn't mean they don't care. They seem like nice people who want to support you, your husband, and the baby. Go for a few hours and let these ladies do their thing. It's really no harm, no foul for you. This could be a low-effort way to let his family feel involved, and might even make them more excited and involved in the future. Am I the jerk for staying up past midnight? Over the past 4 months, my roommate has let his friends sleep in our living room and live with us without ever warning me beforehand or mentioning it once. The person has never spoken to me once. I don't know his name. In the 4 months and works the exact same schedule as me, which forces us to bump into each other more than my actual roommate. I've had 2 situations where I was using the communal TV in the living room, and he came home before midnight and waited in the kitchen for me to leave. I stayed about 15-30 minutes, let him know the place was clear, and apologized for making him wait. He said nothing, and the TV disappeared weeks later after being in the living room for over 3 years. I bought my own the next day and put it in the same spot, knowing that he communicated with my roommate to have it removed, and my roommate agreed makes me feel very disrespected and confused. I am easygoing and pay rent. If I moved out, a complete stranger would want this guy to disappear. No one on earth can rent out a room with a total stranger living in the living room. Why make things difficult for someone who's been paying rent for years and is a low-maintenance tenant? Tonight, a similar situation happened. I stayed in the living room watching my movie, and he went to the kitchen for close to 2 hours. He then came to the living room and said that he just returned from a flight and wanted to go to sleep. I turned off the TV and left. My actual roommate was around during the 2 hours and commiserated with him in the backyard, instead of asking to have a conversation and maybe set some rules. He was gone all weekend, and I didn't purposefully use the living room to be a dick, but I did leave him in the kitchen because I don't owe this stranger anything. I've also been passive-aggressive in other ways. I feel like I'm in the wrong for being passive-aggressive, but so are he and my roommate. The man is an intimidating bouncer who could beat me left and right, but he's avoiding a conversation where he would need to set a hard move-out date, or I would directly ask him to move out. Was I an asshole tonight? You are not in the wrong here. You should check your lease because it might have a clause about guests only staying for a certain time or needing to be added to the lease. It's unfair that your roommate has had another person living there for 4 months without discussing it with you, especially since you're losing access to the living room and are now mostly confined to your room. Your rent should be reduced for the time you've lost access to shared spaces, and if this guy isn't on the rental agreement or paying rent, he shouldn't have any say in what's going on. Would I be the asshole if I refused to go to the gym with my sibling after hearing them talk behind my back? I, a 19-year-old female, and my sister, a 30-year-old female, started going to the gym together for the past 2 weeks. I am not the most active person, mainly due to laziness. My mom has been urging my sister to take me to the gym, so I finally decided to go with her as I know it would be good for my health and make my mom happy. We have been going consistently 3 times a week. We focus on legs, arms, abs, and cardio. I also work at a coffee shop 3 to 4 times a week, so on my days off, we go to the gym. On Sunday, I had work, but we had plans to go to the gym after. I was feeling extremely exhausted and needed to study for an exam once I got home, so I asked if it was okay if I skipped our gym session. She said it was fine, but asked me to take her to a different city to pick up her car, which she left at a friend's house the night before when she came home drunk. She ended up forcing me to take her once I got home from my shift, despite being exhausted. The next day, I had plans with my boyfriend for breakfast and texted my sister saying I would go to the gym myself that night instead. She replied, "You know, if you actually want to lose weight, you have to take it more seriously." I said I know and mentioned that my diet has been relatively good the past few weeks. I know this is horrible timing, but I got food poisoning that day from something I ate the day before. I was feeling sick and miserable and couldn't go to the gym. Today I'd work from 6:30 a.m. to 3:00 p.m. and I planned on calling out but was scared of getting written up or terminated due to my workplace's strict policy on call-outs. I ended up leaving early due to stomach issues. My sister asked if I went to the gym yesterday, and I said no due to food poisoning, which she seemed fine with. However, later at dinner, my dad asked my sister if we've been going to the gym. She replied, "No, she keeps making excuses. Yesterday we were supposed to go, but she said something came up and decided to hang out with her boyfriend. Then today, nothing," my dad responded. "Well, today she has food poisoning and she even had to leave work early because of it. That's probably why," and my sister was silent. I am wondering if I was supposed to go to the gym with her when I was feeling physically ill. We never made plans to go today, so I don't know why she mentioned that. Would it be wrong to tell her I won't go to the gym with her anymore because I heard her talking behind my back? Am I overreacting? Maybe a little, but the situation rubbed me the wrong way. I only canceled twice, once due to poor planning and the other due to food poisoning. I wish she was more understanding. It's completely understandable to feel hurt when someone talks behind your back, especially when you're making an effort to improve yourself. It's not safe to go to the gym when you're feeling physically ill. What if you passed out? It might be worth having an honest conversation with your sister about how her words made you feel, rather than cutting off your gym partnership altogether. Clear communication can help you both understand each other better and might strengthen your relationship in the long run. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.